Welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fob Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host, Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What it do, Nasboys crew?
So let's get down to talking about this weekend's race races at Kansas. And man, this was an eventful weekend in the Cup Series. Truck Series was normal, which we'll get into, but the Cup Series race, I don't know what to say about this. There was so much going on. I think we were going to agree to start on the Cup Series race. So let's get started with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely wild. Honestly, Mike, that was probably the best Kansas race I've seen, like, in the Cup Series, like, if not, like, years. I mean, just absolutely insane. Unfortunately, Denny Hamlin won, but we got a good finish there. We haven't had one of those in a while. So, I mean, it was just an overall success for NASCAR this weekend at the track. But to start things off, basically, I thought it was really good racing. You know, we saw a lot of 2 and 3 wide racing, especially on the restarts. And one driver I want to kind of talk about a little earlier than usual. I usually say drivers that move their way up through the field later on after a couple minutes. But I have to go and say this. William Byron was 2 laps down, and he came back and finished third. Just a great drive by him. But I knew that the Toyotas were going to be strong. Truex Jr. was up front most of the day. Same thing with Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace, he kind of worked his way up towards the front, towards the end. He was your pick to win, if I'm correct, Mike. And I had Joey Logano winning. He ended up finishing 6th. But early on in the race, Reddick spun out Kyle Larson.
And now it's a matter of can he come back up and block the one and fit in this hole.
Woo. No! He gets into it! Around goes Larson. He keeps it down to the grass. Caution flies. And everybody's able to avoid Kyle Larson, unlike last week.
Just mistimed it. Thought he was clear, tried to get up and got in the back of him.
He wanted to get into that hole quick because of the momentum run.
Larson was able to rebound from that. We saw Christopher Bell wreck after contact with Chastain. If you haven't seen that, here it is. So, yeah, let us know what your thoughts are on that. Chastain just can't seem to get out of it. Like, he just can't seem to catch a break. He's just always in controversy. He's always a part of something every week. We saw Kyle Busch. He had a wreck. Austin Cindric lost a tire. RFK Racing just struggled all day, honestly. Chris Buescher finished 17th. And Brad Keselowski finished 19th. Eric Jones, he ended up spinning out, if I'm correct, at one point as well. But obviously, I guess, you know, we can talk now about towards the end of the race, we saw a huge incident between Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain.
Here's the incident that likely led to that discussion and confrontation.
It's a tough track, tough place, tough day.
Gragson was a couple laps down, and Chastain had a car underneath him. Kind of ran high, and Gragson hit the wall and came down and hit Chastain. What was your thoughts on that?
At first I thought Chastain kind of like squeezed him on purpose, but after watching it a couple of times, it just looked like a racing deal. I could understand why Gragson was mad, especially at the heat of the moment, but I didn't really see too much of what either did wrong was a problem. But talking about the fight afterwards, that's
he would, but he was like touching me, it felt like, and it just had me kind of out of control. So yeah, I wish we could see what was
interview interrupted.
going on here, I guess.
That's Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain going at it.
Chastain connected. I don't know if Noah got him first, but
wow. Everybody's overheated, including several of the tempers here in Kansas.
The real talk topic in my eyes. I figured Noah was upset because of the way he was bumping Chastain, and I thought he was going to wreck him. And we didn't see that. I don't know why he didn't wreck him, and he says he's still not going to wreck him. But yeah, the fight afterwards, it just happened all of a sudden. Noah shouldn't have grabbed him, in my opinion. I think that's what really started it. Chastain told him, in the words of Denny Hamlin, told him to stop like 3 times, and Noah kept grabbing him by the shirt like this. So I don't blame Chastain for being upset by that. And in all honesty, I'm really neutral on this because I feel that they're both sort of in the wrong, not necessarily on the track, though.
Yeah, Gregson, he had that new haircut and he got rocked. I mean, he got smacked there by that punch. Not smacked, but I mean, he got rocked. And one thing too, the finish of that race, we saw Hamlin move Kyle Larson to get the win.
Denny's played nice so far. He's played nice so far.
All right, off turn 4, white flag in the air. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
He's going to have one more chance getting into 3. That's where it's going to come. He's right to the bumper of him.
Take him now. Take him now.
He's going to get to him, get him loose. He is loose. Got him loose. He got to wiggling.
They're going to be side by side.
But then he had to lift.
He did.
Oh, he turned him.
And Larson's in the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
Barely tapped him. Run, Denny. Oh, goodness gracious.
Denny Hamlin comes sailing off turn number 4.
Sure did.
To the checkered flag. Hamlin wins Kansas after a fierce battle with Kyle Larson, who finishes 2nd.
Took it from him. Literally took it from him. That's pretty uncharacteristic for Denny. You usually don't see anybody Denny getting into anybody.
And Hamlin contradicting himself yet again by saying, "Oh, I don't do what Chastain does." Well, I mean, he did put him in the wall on the backstretch on the final lap. It looked like a racing deal, but I'm sure there's plenty of Larson stands that are complaining and crying all over social media right now. That's what they typically do. I mean, they do that for every race in the sprint cars. Sadie doesn't win or have something happen. And there they too, Chastain, he actually went and congratulated Hamlin after the race. At this point, they might as well kiss, right, Mike?
Come on, Christian. No.
What? I mean, Hamlin can't keep him out of his mouth. And Chastain is just keeping himself in the headlines. At this point, Hamlin and him need to either they just need to let the world know what, how they feel about each other. That's all I gotta say.
I don't know about that, but
a bad take.
My take on this is that I felt like Hamlin was trying to spin him a little bit. And I'm not that big of a fan of that. I mean, I like it when people like bump each other out of the way, but I don't know. It didn't really look like he was trying to do a classic bump and run. It looked like he really was trying to get him in the wall and put him and just, dump him for the win, which I don't like. I mean, I know I say like, oh, I love it when, people bump like that, but I just didn't like that. I didn't think that was cool. And I hate how Hamlin criticizes people like Chastain and Logano for doing similar stuff like that. But there he goes. Just because Kyle Larson had the better car all day doesn't mean that you can just bump him out of the way. So I thought that was stupid and that was cheap. And Kyle Larson is the winner of the race. And like you said, he got turned by Tyler Reddick. He came back and still led the most laps and would have won that race. So it's just cheap, in my opinion, by Hamlin, and a classic him moment of being a hypocrite.
Very
it's like
classless by Hamlin.
One thing I want to say is that Hamlin makes like 2 steps forward of me liking him because I like some of his takes that he makes on his podcast, but then he ends up going 5 steps back with stuff like that.
I don't even listen to his podcast, to be honest.
I just see like the highlights.
He just annoys me in general. I can't listen to him.
I don't blame you. He annoys me at times too, but I do like some of his takes. But
what did the people have to say about all this? I mean, honestly, I would give the race rating like a 9 out of 10.
I didn't
Sorry.
get a chance to get my thoughts on the race, but
I was gonna say 9 out of 10, but go ahead.
yeah, I thought it was a good race. There was a lot of moments. I think you summed it up, but it was a really good race for sure. Um, that's pretty much what I got to say. But yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. And Christian, I know you hate Kansas, but it is a good track. This race proved it.
Well, this was the best race I've seen there in years. I wouldn't say it's still a good track. I mean, it's
I,
not, in
I
my
like it.
opinion.
I'll respect your opinion, but like I feel like it's a good track. Comment down below if you guys think Kansas is a good track too. 56% said great, 44% said good, 0% said mess that's okay, and 0% said bad. Great.
Wow,
Excellent. People are
that's
enjoying
that,
it, right?
that's
Normally
the
we get at
first.
least go ahead.
That's like the first time I think we've had a race this year that was 0 at the bad or meh.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. The underscore motorsports underscore junkie says Larson P2 and Henry 24257 says lots of good racing and a huge fight. 9 out of 10. Yes, gotta agree with that. There was a lot of good racing, and this is one point that I wanted to make that I wasn't thinking of. I really liked how the cars weren't spread out as much, and you could
Mhm.
see like the top 5, 6 cars all like having a chance for the win, which is the racing that I want to see, not just the drivers kind of having, I don't know, maybe 3 drivers up front. Like that was perfect racing all around the track.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Taking a look at what the people had to say about the Gregson and Chastain incident. 20% were on Gregson's side and 80% were on Chastain's side. Henry 24257 says Chastain just hard racing. Modern day Dale Sr.
Sort of,
Oh,
but
Henry. No.
well, Chastain is making his presence felt
I
throughout the series, but I wouldn't compare. I wouldn't say he's a Dale Senior because he doesn't win as much as Dale, but I
right.
mean, he still definitely rubs people's fenders and
He does, but you can't compare him to Dale Sr. I mean, like you said, he doesn't win nearly as much as Dale Sr. I mean, if he won as much as Dale Sr., yeah, we could say, he might be the next Dale Sr., but I don't know. If you want to ask me who you could compare to Dale Sr., Joey Logano or Kyle Busch, because they actually can win races. I mean, Chastain can too, but I mean, shoot, we all know that Logano and Busch are better than Chastain, no doubt.
yeah, I mean that I do agree with that, but I think so far this year Chastain's been better than Logano. That's just my personal opinion, like
Mm,
stat wise. You
in
have to
some
look at the
ways,
stats. Yeah,
I mean, in
stats
some
just
ways,
he runs up front more.
But Logano has a win.
Yeah, but Chastain has a better
Overall
average finish.
stats, overall stats, Chastain might be better, but Logano has a win.
How many stages has Logano won?
I need to look that up. Actually, I'm not going to hold. Uh, the underscore motorsports junkie said, "Bowl cut got rocked by the Melons." Sure, mess with us farm boys.
That's a W right there. Yeah, David. Mike's dying. Yeah.
Oh Lord, that was
Yeah.
cringe. I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna lie.
Gregson's hair. Yeah, I mean, his haircut is kind of atrocious. I'll be honest, and
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get to that in the meme of the week.
yeah. And then the Hamlin and Larson deal, same thing really. 20% Hamlin, 80% Larson.
Mhm.
Motorsports Junkie says F Hamlin, wreck
Bruh.
Larson because he's desperate for a win. Yes, I
Well,
agree with
yeah,
that.
that is
He's
true.
right.
Yeah.
Henry 24257 says Hamlin was fast enough to pass Larson. Classless. I don't know if he was really that fast enough to pass Larson, to be fair,
He could
because
have maybe dive bombed in 3 and
yeah,
4, but I don't know if he would have passed him.
that's what I was gonna say. I thought he should have just dive bombed him on the bottom coming out of 3 and 4 because Larson looked like he was faster out of the corners. Like we saw Hamlin get him with like 2 or 3 to go, and he got side by side. But then Larson came back out when they were coming back out of the corner. He came back into the lead and almost cleared him.
Yeah.
So I felt that Larson was a little faster than Hamlin, but Hamlin could have won without having to spin him. I felt like.
True.
Driver of the day, William Byron. I'm going to give it to Kyle Larson, but I agree that William Byron should be up for consideration.
You know what? I want to give it to Larson, but Byron's a close second.
That's basically what I was trying to say too. Yeah. So I guess we can talk about the truck race. What did you think of it?
Man, my pick almost won. Corey Heim got second. But Grant Enfinger pretty much had that race dominated. He led 65 to 134 laps and is his 8th career win in the truck series. But it's been a while since we've seen Enfinger win. So congrats to him. If I'm correct, his last win was last year at the Indianapolis Raceway Park, I think. But for Kyle Busch being in the truck race and not winning, I was very surprised though, because Busch was in that and he started second, he ended up finishing 7th.
Yeah.
But there were some drivers just want to give recognition to. Daniel Dye, he finished 13th in the 43 car. He's honestly one of my favorite truck drivers. Tony Brenninger finished 15th in her first truck series start. She made a lot of passes and worked her way up a couple of times. She did finish a lap down, but still pretty solid debut. If I'm correct, that's the best debut for a female driver in the truck series. Another driver, Ross Chastain, he was in this race as well. He ended up finishing 5th. Stuart Friesen, I saw that, Mike. Stuart Friesen actually doing well for change and finishing 4th. So Friesen's had a pretty bad year, but for him to get a top 5, that's got to be huge for that team.
Yeah, I felt this was another good race. We saw one thing that I want to mention was Ty Majeski and Rajah Caruth's incident. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Oh, Majeski loose.
Oh, there he goes. Into the wall. Rajah Caruth.
Hang on, Georgia.
Ty Majeski got him.
Man, I was just going to say this is a career night for Rajah. And they just, I talked about blocking and the decisions you have to make. And that we'll have to take another look at that.
So Rajah Caruth, he was running really well the whole race. He running close to the top 5. He's been kind of coming into sort of competing. He's a little inconsistent though. And he was doing really well this race, but he just made a dumb move. He kind of came down and blocked Majeski, which you shouldn't block somebody when they're that close to you on the fender. But Majeski also should have, I felt he could have just gone to the bottom instead of staying in there. But I felt like Rajah Caruth needed to learn that lesson. And we saw after the race, they were talking. And I guess Rajah was trying to learn what he actually did so he could try to fix it, which I have respect for, instead of just, crying about it, that it was Majeski's fault. I think he did say that he was blaming Majeski, but he might have realized what he was doing wrong. So he just wanted to go and he waited after the race and talked to Majeski, which I thought was really cool. And I have a lot of respect for Rajah Caruth. I hope he does well. What else happened? And a couple other drivers that you forgot to mention. Deegan actually did pretty well in this race too. I was really surprised. Trying to find out where she finished. She finished 12th.
Yeah.
That's not bad. But keep mentioning this guy, man. I think he's gonna be some. Jake Garcia in the 35. He finished 8th. Get him a better ride. He is a talented kid right there. I feel like if he had maybe a Nice ride or some top tier equipment, he would win races and he would be a championship contender. This kid's good.
I have a bold take here. I think if he was in the Door Sport 13 instead of Deegan, he would have already won a race by now.
I agree.
I'm just being honest with you. There's another, I know you mentioned the Caruth wreck, but also Christian Eckes, he ended up wrecking.
Seeing that bottom lane get a real good start every time. Nice tight push there too.
Oh my God. And we've got more trouble on the restart. Matt DiBenedetto involved. Christian Eckes is there. Carson Hocevar.
Correct.
Wow. Dean Thompson.
Well, this is what we talked about. The restarts are just going to keep amping up. Every time every time we come to the green again, and this is the pushing and shoving that we've been talking about from the beginning of the night. And
oh man, Chase Purdy had such a good
Oh,
try.
yeah.
Rose got to dance with Kyle Busch. There's a couple other accidents, if I'm correct. Kobe Howard and Chase Purdy were in one, and Dean Thompson as well.
Yeah, I remember I think they were all involved in the same accident with Di Benedetto.
Yeah.
He was blocking too and did something stupid. I probably showed that on the screen. And the reason why Kyle Busch I felt wasn't as competitive, I think he had contact with Zane Smith.
back of Kyle's truck and tore it up. So Kyle was struggling on the restart, and he got tight and had to lift, and then got loose and checked up hard, and Ben just had nowhere to go and got in the back of him.
Yeah, Kyle gets into the wall, and that was more than Ben could stop for.
Hey, the good news for Ben Rhodes, he had 9 stage points, so that helps when you have an evening where you deal with damage and maybe don't get the finish you would like. And there are a lot of drivers that would have wrecked out driving that 51 in that situation. Kyle's able to hang on and
It was either Zane Smith or Christian Eckes, but I knew it was one of those two. And that really just messed up his whole momentum because yeah, he did win the first stage, and then Ty Majeski won the second one. So overall, very solid race. I was really happy with this weekend at Kansas. Taking a look at what you guys had to say. 0% said great, 67% said good, 33% said mess/okay, and nobody said bad. Wallace_Warrior23 responds with, it was an all right race, just needed more action. Driver of the day, Zane Smith.
Zane Smith.
I mean,
he did lead 6 laps and finish third, but he wasn't no driver today, in my opinion.
I feel like Ty Majeski was a dominant truck, but Grant Enfinger, I feel like, should be the driver of the day because he won the race and he had a bold 2-for-1 pass on Smith and Corey Heim to get the lead, and he stayed out there. So you know what? I'm going to go with Grant Enfinger as driver of the day.
Yeah, he also led the most laps, so I mean, we have to give it to him, right?
That's
all right,
fair.
So now I guess we get into meme of the week. There was a couple of different ones. The first one is by termination. This is of the Noah Gragson and Chastain fight. Here it is. And this one's probably already my contender for the favorite. And this is NASCAR Memes.IG, a matchup of the ages, the watermelon and this character from I'm gonna say Despicable Me. Yeah. Then there's other slides along with that on that post, but
I
NASCAR
really
fans.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I really like the second slide. We can't show it because it has language, but I really like the second slide to that Despicable meme.
Yeah. There's the NASCAR fans watching Denny Hamlin drive through Kyle Larson at the claim by Russia saying you become the very thing you swore to destroy. Exactly.
True.
Contradicting himself. Another one is this one's a YouTube meme, but it's by Mickey and Jeffy Show. I think it's their channel name. It's the reaction to Final Lap in Kansas.
Are you serious right now, bro?
With speed, so yeah, that was kind of funny. And then another really funny one. It's not NASCAR, but it's about a laugh lap that he said I can watch the Formula One race through my window, and it shows a trash can. we all love that F1 slander.
I think he's done something similar to that before. I can't remember, but
he did that. He did a trash can with Bubba Wallace before.
No, I knew that, but I thought he did something with the F1 meme, but that's pretty clever.
Yeah, so that's meme of the week. Now this upcoming weekend we have the next 3 weeks are going to be 3 of the biggest weeks of the season. We have Darlington, Throwback Weekend, Wilkesboro, and then the 600 in Charlotte. it's just gonna be a really exciting week, and it's all in the Carolinas, and I'm looking forward to it. Um, it's always like one of my favorite times of the year. May, you have all the racing events going on. You also have the Indianapolis 500 the same day as 600. You
Yeah.
have some other racing events throughout Europe. The Arlington Throwback Weekend, we do have a video on that, whether it's out before that or after this. Go check that out. It's on Paint Games. So Paint Game review of Darlington.
The traditional, we got to review all the throwback schemes.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of great ones this year. But anyways, we have all three series racing at Darlington. Friday nights to truck race, and Xfinity on Saturday, and then Cup on Sunday. So who do you have winning the truck race?
The truck race, I have a couple of different picks. One notable driver that I want to mention, I'm not picking him, but I just want to mention it. Bubba Wallace will be driving the #1 Tricon truck.
Yeah.
So for my picks for the truck series race, I have like a couple of different picks. So if Kyle Busch is racing, I'm going with him. I don't know yet because I haven't seen the entry list.
Yeah.
If Kyle Busch is racing, I'll go with him. If Ross Chastain is racing and Kyle Busch is not racing, I will go with him. But if neither of those two guys are racing, I will go with Carson Hocevar.
Well, my thing is, Bubba Wallace doesn't run well at Darlington, so I'm not going to pick him. Kyle Busch, I can definitely see him winning one of the races. Chastain, I mean, he's been pretty solid at Darlington himself. But for the truck race, I'm actually going to go with someone that I've picked a couple times this year, and they still haven't been able to win every time I pick them. Ben Rhodes. I think that this time I'm confident my pick will finally win. I'm going to go with Ben Rhodes.
That's not bad. For the Xfinity race, I am going to go ahead and say Kyle Larson.
Ooh.
He's driving the 10.
Yeah, I'm thinking about picking him. That's tough. I was thinking Brandon Jones, but he's just inconsistent this year. You know what? I'm gonna go Larson too. Why not?
And then for the Cup race, I'm going to go ahead and say Kyle Busch wins it. First time I've actually picked him all season, so hopefully it goes well.
I'm gonna go with a car that is one of the best throwbacks that he's almost won here before. If not, he has won here before. But this team has been really good at Darlington over the last years. And that is the number 20 team. Christopher Bell is going to win this race on Sunday. And I think that it will be a very good race. Last year's race was insane. We saw what happened at the end of last year with William Byron and Don Logano. But other than that, I thought it was a good race. Hopefully there's not as many wrecks, but we'll see how things go. I think the truck race would definitely be a wreck fest because that's what it really has been this year. The truck series they've had a lot of wrecks every single race.
True. All right. And so with that will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See ya.
You want me calling now, you wanting what I think.